Hey guys, what's up? Attribution or assigning credit is very important. It happens in our daily lives as well. Everybody needs credit, right? A husband and a wife in a relationship, who gets the credit for the little small things that they do? You grow up to be something, who gets the credit? You learned something, who gets the credit? You lost something, who do you give the bad credit to? Assigning credit is a form of a validation. It re-emphasizes the fact that either something is working or it is not working, whether it is in your life or whether it is in your marketing. When we speak about Google Analytics, we are talking about bare bones structure. We are dissecting everything that we can to understand what is really happening with your website and your marketing activities across all platforms. In such a scenario, one thing which is very ignored is attribution. Attribution decides who gets the credit or what platform gets the credit or what ad click gets the credit or what ad creative gets the credit. So basically, who is responsible for that conversion? Who do you want to assign it to is something what attribution speaks about, and that is exactly what we would be talking about in this session. So I welcome you all to this session. Let's get started. Attribution in Google Analytics. What is attribution in the first place? Attribution is the act of assigning conversion credits to different ads, clicks, or other factors along the user's journey to complete a conversion. You have defined a conversion. A conversion can be a purchase, a conversion can be a sign up, a conversion can be visiting a page, a conversion can be anything that you define it to be. You need to remember that there is something or someone who is responsible for making this conversion. Now, who do you want to credit is what attribution speaks about. So let's get a little deeper. Imagine this situation. There is a website and there is a user. Now, this is your website where you're trying to sell something, let's assume. Now, there's a user who visits the website, and after he visits the website, after a few minutes, he decides to quit. So the user exited the website. Now, after 2 days, he finds an ad about your product on Google and he clicks on the ad. Inevitably, when he clicks on the ad, he visits your website, and from the website, he goes ahead and he makes a purchase. So he has finally checked out. Now, who do you want to give the conversion to? He came to your website first. Do you want to give the credit to that activity? Or he did nothing after that, but he came back after 2 days through a Google ad. So do you want to give credit to this ad? This is what attribution speaks about, and you can decide what you want to give the credit to. It can be system generated, it can be decided by the system, but you define the rules of the game. When I say that, it basically means that you will be the person who will decide what or which activity should get the credit for the conversion that just happened. So let's move forward. What should you give the credit to? The first visit directly to the website, or the ad click that led to the website, which resulted in a conversion after 2 days? Now, in this example, who do you want to give the credit to? Let's look at how do you decide that. Basically, when you speak about attribution, there are two models of attribution. One is a rule-based attribution, and the other format is data-driven approach. I have heard a lot of practitioners talk about which of these models are better, but don't be biased. Don't get me wrong. Don't have any bias when you're deciding these. The decision should strictly come from what sort of business you're running and what your goals are, because based upon that is what you would be assigning attribution to, because that would have to be capitalized and maximized for you to get the maximum ROI. So basically, there are two types of attribution models. One is a rule-based attribution model, and the other one is a data-driven approach. So first, let's look at what a rule-based approach means. Rule-based attribution model, it follows a set of fixed rules that you define, and it is important to note that it does not take into account the conversion type or the user behavior in this case, because you have defined the rules, it strictly goes by the rules. So that is a rule-based attribution model. Who defines it again? You as a business owner. On the other hand, you have a data-driven approach. Data-driven model distributes the credit of the conversion based on the data that it collected for the conversion type. Now, rule-based approach is defined by you, while data-driven approach is really based upon the data that your own account has generated. This can be a meaningful approach in most of the cases, because you're going ahead and assigning an attribution credit based upon the data that is being generated. Again, there are pros and cons which we will talk about later. When you speak about rule-based attribution models, there are 5 rule-based attribution models. First of them being last click attribution. What happens here is the end point is conversion. If you look at conversion here, this is the end point, right? Now, this is the ultimate goal that as a business, all of us would have for users to convert. Now, what got this conversion? If you are going ahead by rule-based attribution models, you can choose any of these things to decide what do you want to give the credit to. Now, last click attribution model, if you choose this approach, the last click that led to the conversion will get the credit. If you speak about first click attribution, the first click that led the person will be given the credit for conversion. If you talk about linear attribution, all the clicks along the user journey will be given equal credit. If you talk about time decay, now time decay has a very interesting approach. What time decay does is it gives more credit to clicks that happened closer to the conversion. It is distributed using a 7-day half-life, which means a click that happened 8 days before the conversion gets half as much credit as the click that happened 1 day before the conversion. Then you have position-based attribution. Position-based attribution gives 40% credit to the first and last clicked events, while the remaining 20% gets evenly distributed for all the clicks that happen in between. So based upon these, you need to understand how each attribution model would give you different insights, and you can use this information to make further decisions. Now, if you're talking about a Google ad, if I want to understand, if I'm running a Google Ads campaign, and if I believe, or if I want to go ahead with a rule-based attribution model where the first click that happens on Google should get the credit, I will go ahead and set up a first click attribution. But if you think the last click that got a user to the website should get the credit, I will go ahead and choose last click attribution model. But if I want to go ahead with a linear model and assign equal weightage and equal credit to all the activities that happened in the customer journey, I will go ahead with a linear model. So you get to decide what you want to choose, and based upon that you can make your analysis. Now moving forward, this is how a data-driven model works. You will have to forgive my handwriting, but this is exactly what it means. So if you look at this, there are two paths that I've mentioned here. One is a converting path. There are only two things that can happen when a click happens, right? When a click happens, a user can either convert or not convert. So basically there is a conversion path, there is a non-conversion path. So what happens in a data-driven model, if you choose a data-driven model of attribution, is both converting path and the non-converting path go through a machine learning algorithm, which based upon certain factors results in a data model. Now this data model is derived based upon factors like conversions, conversion path, what is the device that the person came from, what devices were being used, or what devices did people come from, what are the number of interactions, what ad creative is responsible, etc., etc., etc. And based upon all these models, based upon all these factors, a data model is generated. Once this data model is generated, then the system compares what happened with what could have happened to determine what touch points are most likely to get you conversions. This model attributes conversion credit to these touch points based upon the likelihood of conversions to happen. However, there is a catch. To set up a data-driven attribution model, your account should have had 600 conversions in the last 30 days across the account. If you don't have enough data, you cannot set up a data-driven model of attribution. And also remember, once you have 600 conversions in the last 30 days, and if you set up attribution model, it needs to be refreshed with the same minimum requirements, which means today you have 600 conversions with 30 in the last 30 days, you set up a data-driven model, but after 15 days, at that point in time, you don't have 600 conversions in the last 30 days, this model will stop working. So this is a minimum requisite for data-driven attribution models to be set up. More about the data-driven model in the next session. Thank you so much. My name is Casey.